Can I be honest with you? Sometimes I still catch myself holding my breath, worried that the life I've built could disappear just as quickly as it came together. Worry that the confidence I've learned might falter. Worried that the hope I fought to hold on to might just slip through the cracks. Because when you grow up where I did, man, worry isn't a passing feeling. It's a constant companion. I was born in a world shaped by trauma, violence, addiction. The stats didn't expect much from me. As the daughter of a single mother, the data alone said I might not even graduate from college, hell, maybe not even high school. And somewhere deep inside, y'all, I gotta be honest, I believe that. Not because I didn't think I was capable, but because I didn't know anything else. But even in the middle of all of that chaos, there was one light, my mother, Margaret, a woman of relentless faith with more courage than I've ever known. She taught me that our circumstances were not a sentence. They were a starting point. And slowly, I began to believe that too. That maybe I could dream, that maybe I could do something different, even when I felt small and especially when I felt afraid. So I did it, afraid. I was the first person in my family to become a doctor, the first naturopathic medical student in history to be awarded the Albert Schweitzer Fellowship, the first to ever create a preventive health program inside of a fertility clinic, something the field had never seen before. To top it all off, I was the first director of preventive health at a leading health tech company, a path that didn't exist until I walked it. I say that not to impress you, but to remind you that audacity doesn't mean that the fear disappears. And persistence doesn't mean that it's always easy to keep going. Because the truth is, I was all of those first, while still fighting the same quiet worry I felt as a little girl. Still carrying the weight of those same questions. Am I enough? Is this sustainable? Can I do this? And as I get older, the questions don't go away, but what I have learned is this. There are habits you can build that will carry you through almost anything. Not just once, and not just for me, but for you too. So whether you're chasing a dream, recovering from a setback, or stepping into a season that requires more from you than ever before, these habits are the key. Habits of audacity and habits of persistence. And today, I want to share with you how I built them. Not because I have all the answers, but because I had to go find them. And just in case you're looking too, you're in the right place. So what are habits? According to James Clear, habits are tiny routine behaviors that we perform every single day. What's so crazy is that they seem very small and unimportant at first, but have the potential to stack into remarkable results if we stick with them. But what happens when the hardest part about learning a habit is unlearning the limits you never even asked for? Because when we grow up in low-income, marginalized communities, the ability to build a habit or dream beyond what you can see is nearly impossible. When we grow up in these communities, we're not taught to be bold. We're taught to survive, to be careful. So we choose safe dreams, dreams that make sense to the people around us. If we're lucky, those dreams come with a playbook that's like a small snapshot into what it'll take to achieve that dream. So let's just say you want to be a doctor. That playbook is clear. You go to college, med school, residency. Or let's just say you want to be an athlete. That playbook is also clear. You train, you perform, you get scouted. But this is the step we miss. Did your mind go straight to the end, straight to the title, to the role, to the success? I thought so. But what about the messy middle? That's the part nobody wants to talk about. You can't just say college, med school, residency, or train, perform, get scouted as if that's an easy succession of steps. No! Those steps take audacity to move through. That messy middle is where you're unsure. The messy middle is where you fail, stretch, hesitate. The messy middle is where audacity is born. It's so funny, when I was looking up the word audacity, I saw words like bold, daring, fearless. But if you're anything like me, when you're in that messy middle, you don't feel bold, daring, or fearless. In fact, you might feel the opposite feeling: fearful, insecure, unworthy, timid. Yeah. But that's when it hit me. Audacity is a decision. In fact, audacity is the first habit you need to build. You see, the rules of audacity are clear. Take the opposite action of what you feel. You see, audacity sees your fear in one hand and your potential in the other, and still whispers, what if we're the exception? And I remember the moment that whisper showed up for me. I was in medical school when I learned about the Albert Schweitzer Fellowship. It was a national program, competitive, prestigious, full of elite graduate students doing the work that changed lives. My public health roots squealed at the opportunity to contribute to this work. I had to apply. But here's the catch. No one like me had ever been chosen before. To my knowledge, I was the only naturopathic student even applying that year. As much as I felt the possibility and the potential in one hand, I had fear screaming at me loudly in the other. Don't bother. They'll never pick someone like you. But audacity countered and whispered to me quietly and confidently, apply anyway. And I applied. And on March 27, 2015, I became the first naturopathic student in history to be awarded that fellowship. That moment didn't just change my resume, it changed me and it changed others. Because through that fellowship, I was able to work with middle school girls on the south side of Chicago, girls facing the same kind of impossibility I once did. And because of my audacity, I was now able to give to them the same thing my mother gave to me, which is the truth that our circumstances are not a sentence. They are a starting point. And that's when it clicked. Audacity doesn't stop with me. Audacity echoes, it ripples, it unlocks. Audacity leaves the door open behind you. Because when you dare to take a risk, you give the next person permission to believe that they can do the same. So if you're in that messy middle right now, good. That's where audacity lives. But I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Audacity is only the first habit you need to build. Because at some point, that boldness will meet resistance. At some point, you'll notice that the yes doesn't always come easy. Sometimes your dreams will take longer than you thought. Because after audacity gets you into the door, persistence is how you move through it. It's so funny, when I was thinking about how to define persistence, I thought about this old car my mom used to drive. It was a Delta 88. No. An Oldsmobile Delta 88. You know the one. The one where you need a screwdriver to turn the ignition just right to get it started. Every morning, she'd sit in the driver's seat of that car, whisper a prayer under her breath, and give it a go. My sister's here, so you know I'm not lying. Now, sometimes the car would crank up right away, but oftentimes it would take a few turns to get it going. I mean, a little bit of coaxing, but a lot of faith. You see, audacity is turning the key. It's that first moment of boldness, of believing that the engine can start. But persistence is what keeps your hand steady, even when it doesn't. Persistence is about staying power, stick-to-itiveness. It's that firm, stubborn continuance that stays, even if the car won't start or the doors aren't opening. And I had to learn that the long way. After medical school, I had a vision, a big one. I didn't just want to treat people when things went wrong. I wanted to get ahead of the disease. I wanted to integrate preventive medicine into fertility care. I wanted to do the things we had been talking about in school. Things like how stress, diet, and inflammation also affect fertility. But no one was talking about it. I must have pitched this idea to everyone I could. I mean, hundreds of emails, hundreds of no's, hundreds of blank stares, and nothing. Until finally, I found a doctor in Beverly Hills known for being on the cutting edge of reproductive medicine. I thought, oh, well, this is it. This is my way in. So I emailed him just knowing this would be my big break, and nothing. I emailed again, still nothing. I called probably 100 times, complete silence. That silence must have lasted for months. Until out of nowhere, I got a call from his assistant, and she said to me verbatim, "Girl, we got all of your emails. We were busy. But can you be here tomorrow?" Y'all, I must have put everything I owned in the back of my 2005 Toyota Corolla, and I sprinted from San Diego to LA in the middle of the night. The very next day, I was sitting across from the doctor and CEO of that practice, and that moment changed everything. Together, we created the world's first preventive health program ever housed inside a fertility clinic. We weren't just treating infertility, we were looking at the root causes behind it. And because of my persistence, we were able to help thousands of women and birthing people improve their fertility and take back their health outcomes. But that only happened because I didn't let the silence stop me. That's persistence. It's not magic, it's not momentum, it's refusing to quit even when you're tired, discouraged, or ignored. So if you're in that season right now, the one where you're knocking and nothing's opening, I want you to take this persistence principle with you. Pick your mission and then make peace with the no's. Because you only need one yes, but you have to outstand every door that doesn't open first. So send the email and then send it again. Knock on the door and then knock again. Stay in the room, even if it takes months, even as your hands shake, even if you're unsure if it'll work this time. Because after audacity gets you in, persistence is how you make history. Because the truth is this: I decided, therefore I am. You decide, therefore you are. Not the thing, but the person who can create anything they put their minds to. I am not a doctor alone. I am a person who is audacious and persistent, and that births miracles. That's what birthed all of those first. That's what birthed this moment. What life has taught me and what I hope to give to you is that audacity and persistence unlock uncommon favor. What I want you to understand is that you need both of them. Because audacity without persistence, well, that's just a spark that'll burn out. And persistence without audacity, Well, that's just motion without meaning. But when you put them together, oof, that's when you become unstoppable. So decide right now what your future will look like. Not tomorrow, not next week. Decide right now who you will be. And then be audacious enough to begin. Be persistent enough to endure. And when you do, the sky isn't a limit. It's just the beginning. Thank you.